Hello, my name is Melvin Chan, and this is Project One. So for the meetup, I basically attended this group called Vibe Coding for Absolute Beginners. Here's the link and the screenshot of the meeting. So, like I said, it was called Vibe Coding for Absolute Beginners. This took place on Google Meets on March 2026 at 11 a.m. The one presenting is named Shane McGrath. He's a software engineer and entrepreneur currently working on his own businesses. In the meeting discussion, we basically talked about what is vibe coding. His answer was that vibe coding is the use of the latest AI tools in order to build software by describing what you want. He also went on to explain that before coding was a lot harder because before AI, um, it would take years to learn syntax and rules, and making one error would take hours of debugging, which could lead to a lot of confusion. On top of that, you needed a CS degree to even get started um, in building anything real, which took a lot of years. Um, he also went into saying that this was the development of AI and AI coming out is comparable to the printing press because before the printing press, knowledge was locked away and only certain people had access to it. You weren't able to just print out a book, but this unlocked a lot of human potential for everyone. We also went on some we also went over some common fears such as will AI replace me? His answer was that AI is a tool which is not meant to replace anyone. It's supposed to amplify what you're able to bring. So essentially AI will amplify your ideas, creativity, and domain knowledge. He also went on to talk about how there is this misconception that if you use AI, it won't be considered real code, which is completely false. It's 100% real code, and it utilizes the exact same languages that Google, Apple, and every other startup is utilizing, and you own it completely. He also said that with AI, you are able to build desktop apps, web apps, browser extension, mobile apps, which is probably one of the more complicated ones. And we went into great detail on every single one of these things that you could possibly build. So for desktop apps, these are amazing because they work offline. You don't need any internet. Um, it has full access to computers, power, and files, can be sold as a standalone product, it feels professional and polished, but it also has its cons. So the user must download and install. It's a lot harder to update since users must get new versions, and you need to build this on different OS platforms. So if you're building on Mac, it won't be compatible with Windows, so you need to keep that in mind when developing desktop apps. For the browser extensions, these are typically small and focused projects that are great for beginners. They are built-in distribution via Chrome Web, as you probably used like an app like Honey or um, ad blockers and stuff like that. Also, getting your app into the Chrome Web Store can be a slow process, and users must trust you enough to give you permissions through their browsers. Web apps are anything that can be accessed through a browser. Updates happen instantly for all users, which is perfect for an SaaS business and subscriptions. One of the cons is that it requires internet use and you need to be paying for hosting, which isn't that expensive. You could get a domain for relatively cheap, um, as well as the fact that you need to be aware of security. Mobile apps, on the other hand, billions of people have phones, which gives you a huge market. And on top of that, you could also have push notifications to continuously keep people engaged on the App Store or the Play Store distribution. but it is a lot harder to get into. And on top of that, um, a lot of these web stores take a lot of the profits away from you in exchange for allowing your services on their markets. So the tools that you will usually be using are VS Code, Cloud Code, ChatGPT Codex, and Google AI Studio. So it saves, then you have repositories like GitHub, which save your code on clouds, which allow you to undo button for your entire project and allowing you to continuously keep your code stable. So we created a vibe coding workflow. So in this case, we had phase one, which is plan with AI. So describe your idea to AI in detail is step one. Step two is ask AI, what am I missing? What's unclear? Step three would be ask, do you have ideas to make this better? Step four is ensure it follows best practices. Step five is review the full plan before writing any code. Phase two would be build plus GitHub. So check your plan into GitHub, build one feature at a time, make sure that it works, check into GitHub after every single change, and then repeat one change and one commit. So these are good habits to get into in order to make sure that your workflow is steady and consistent. So the people I got to meet, obviously, like I said earlier, Shane McGrath, he was a great guy. Um, One question I did ask him though was that if he was a college student, how would he integrate AI into his study workflow in order to accelerate his learning? And his response was really good. He basically said that um, he used his son as an example. He said that his son is currently in high school and he's utilizing Notebook LM, and through that AI too, he is able to take images of the books that he's reading or screenshots on school material that basically allows him to create study plans with slides and quizzes, which allow him to be more efficient when it comes to studying quickly, which I thought was just a great thing. Um, Thoughts I had on the meeting, I found this meeting genuinely interesting and value. I feel like I took a lot from it, but of those key takeaways was that code is most effective when paired with a clear intentional plan. Like I said before, the workflow plan that he provided was very useful in insight. And by following the workflow Shane outlined, I feel pretty confident that I can refine my study habits and become a more efficient and effective student. Um, a central theme that stuck with me is that AI is a tool meant to assist, not take over. So its purpose should be to enhance your own skills and learning, as well as your effectiveness, which ultimately the goal would be to manage AI deliberately rather than letting it run unchecked. So for part B, the Aurora Campus Organization, I went to the IEEE Pioneer Branch meeting, which happened on my birthday, March 26th. This happened between 12:15 and 1:15 p.m. Um, so basically, the main focus of this event was that they were building robotic kits uh, that would essentially solve real-world issues, as well as the introduction to Incubate X, which is this program that turns projects into startup ideas, which I thought was really cool. Um, I also thought the robotic stuff was really cool. But essentially, the Incubate X program allows students to gain mentorship and funding through their ideas, which is such an awesome thing because there's a lot of people out there looking to find mentorships as well as um, potentially scale their own ideas, which is amazing. So for the Stack Overflow question that I had was basically, what is the difference between a binary tree and binary search tree? I wanted to know a more in-depth detail um, answer to this question since I was studying data structures and algorithms. Um, and they're essentially the same in the sense that they are both trees with a parent node. But what I learned from Stack Overflow, which was a simplified answer, and it was a great answer. With examples, is that the binary tree uh, basically consists of a node which has two leaves. So in the example over here, it doesn't have a particular order. So the parent node was one, and the left child node was two, the right child node was three. But when it comes to binary search trees, these are used for searching. So the binary tree, it needs to be in a particular order where the parent node has to be uh, a number greater than the left child node, but it has to be smaller than, I'm sorry, the parent node has to be greater than the left child node, but the parent node must also be smaller than the right child node. In this example, the parent node is 2. To its left is the number 1, which is less than the parent. And then to its right, it's number 3, which is greater than the parent. Here I have my GitHub issue board, and as well as what is GitHub. So GitHub is basically a cloud-based platform where developers can store and share and collaborate on code. Um, you basically use Git for version control, which I've used in other assignments. For example, my data structures and algorithms classes. It also allows teams and other people to track the changes being done. So this is such a powerful tool when it comes to being able to find where errors might have occurred. You work on branches and merge contributions. So it's essentially a Google Docs for software projects. And here I have my issues board with the project one um, structures checked out and the due dates. And for my ChatGPT question, it was essentially the same thing. And here I'm just comparing. I asked ChatGPT to explain the difference between a binary tree and a binary search tree with examples, and this is what I got. It was essentially the same thing as the Stack Overflow thing, but I feel like this one went into greater detail. I feel like when it comes to Stack Overflow, the amount of detail really varies. I've asked questions such as uh, explain big O notation. I feel like Stack Overflow breaks it down very well. The people answering the questions there. ChatGPT did a really good job here showing examples with key differences as well as describing how the arrangements are built. So, all in all, I think that in this case, I would go with ChatGPT's answers just to get a better understanding on my question as well as more depth. Anyways, that is all for today. Thank you so much. Have a great day.